In 1890, a man named Henry crossed the Atlantic Ocean on a ship headed from Germany to the United States. Soon after, he built this large oak table for his new life here in America. And now, about 130 years later, I purchased this table for $50, and in this video, I'll restore this old table, adding a few necessary upgrades, all while honoring the story of the man who built this. My name is Barry, and my furniture channel is a labor of love, a heartfelt commitment to preservation, and a tribute to the stories and craftsmanship of bygone eras. I hope this furniture makeover project will help you discover ways to reuse or repurpose furniture for your own spaces. There are clear signs that this table was built out of necessity, using a limited amount of tools and lumber, and although it has stood the test of time, the overall functionality is now severely limited. I've been using this table in my shop for a year now, but not without limitations. The drawers no longer work, most of the joints are loose, and the low height of the table causes back pain almost daily. With any hobby or profession, whether it's woodworking, art, textiles, photography, or anything else, a large functional table like this with adequate workspace is likely essential. In 1890, Henry moved from Germany to America. He was one of millions of Germans to do so during the 1890s due to civil unrest and severe unemployment back at home. At the time, America offered better economic opportunities due to the millions of jobs created during the first American Industrial Revolution just decades before. Like many other immigrants, he soon learned the trade as an electrical engineer and settled on the outskirts of a booming industrial Midwestern city at the time, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In his free time, he found solace in carpentry, a craft passed down from his father, and out of necessity, Henry decided to build this large oak table as a centerpiece for his new workspace. The same may apply today, but at the time, a large table was essential for an engineer, as it provided ample workspace to lay out blueprints, schematics, and tools, enabling them to work on complex designs and calculations with ease. With more surface area, engineers could organize documents, prototypes, and drafting materials without constant rearrangement, supporting efficient workflow and focus. The table often served as a hub for collaboration where multiple team members could view and discuss designs simultaneously. It also supported the use of specialized tools and other instruments. For a while, the table was his obsession. With limited resources, he selected solid oak and pine left over from other projects. He would use the oak to build the main body of the table and pine for the substrate and parts of the drawers. After long days at work, he would come home and work on the table late into the night. Fast forward in this story for just a moment. In the fall of 2023, I saw this old table listed for $60 on Facebook Marketplace. I figured it was a nice table and I might be able to bring it home, clean it up, and sell it for a small profit in this area, since reselling furniture was supplementing my income at the time. I made arrangements to purchase the table and drove 45 minutes to pick it up. When I pulled up the driveway to this old farm, a man about in his 70s greeted me from his small workshop down the hill. As I walked in, I could see all of his small woodworking projects in the shop, and as we talked, he shared with me how woodworking had become a hobby after he retired. He used this table for many years in his shop, but finally decided it was taking up too much space. So then what would this man know about the story of this old table? Stripping the old finishes from this table probably wasn't necessary, but I decided if I was going to take the time to disassemble the entire piece to rebuild and reinforce it, then I should also give this a fresh new finish to continue preserving its history. Although I will soon add some upgrades that will better suit my needs, I'd like to preserve the way in which this piece was built in a rather primitive manner. That includes the variety of exposed nails throughout, as well as the little notes left behind over the years. One question lingered in my mind during this project. Did he actually need this table to do his job? I would imagine that he did, but one thing was certain based on the information provided. He definitely needed this job as an engineer to support his wife and young children here in the States. These drawer bottoms were made with tongue and groove lumber and secured with a variety of nails. Over the years, the cupping has prevented these drawers from functioning properly. I decided to disassemble the drawers and build them back in such a way that they will hopefully work again for the next 100 or so years, all while keeping most of the original patina. Unfortunately, I need to cut these drawers down to smaller dimensions, not only because the nails cause so much damage to the ends of the boards, but also to make room for the new reinforcements that will be attached to the bottom of the table. I'll try and build the drawers back better, and although these boards are thin, I'll use the router table to add rabbets for the drawer bottoms. The thickness planer will help eliminate some of the cupping and will also help make for a better fit in the rabbets. I'm still an amateur woodworker, but this was another opportunity to practice different skills and techniques, all while hopefully improving the functionality of these drawers. And I was still able to preserve a small part of its history. I wish to continue using this table in my shop, but after using it for over a year, I discovered two major limitations: the low height causing back pain and the lack of mobility in my small space. So this upgrade may be controversial, but should solve both of those issues. I've worked with FlexiSpot for several years, and this time I asked them to send me their E7 Plus table base for this project. FlexiSpot offers a variety of complete lift-top, sit-stand desks and ergonomic office chairs. I chose their C7 series office chair, which has multiple adjustments for my head, neck, back, arms, and legs. Now is a good time to upgrade your workspace with FlexiSpot, so enjoy up to 60% off this Black Friday sale. Enter code C750 and save $50 on the C7 or C7 Max. You can also use my exclusive code YTE730 to purchase the E7 series now and enjoy a $30 discount, so it's the best time to buy the E7 series desk. I won't show the complete assembly, but my hope is to attach this new base to the old table while making only minimal alterations to the underside of the table. This will not only allow me to adjust the height of the table, but also move it around in my shop on casters with ease as needed. Perhaps these changes would no longer warrant this project as a true restoration, but I think these are features that the original builder would have been delighted to have. As seen, these are the only minor cuts I made to this entire structure, and once the additional base is attached, the new stretchers will add even more stability to this piece. I wondered what to do with all the hardware, and once cleaned up, I decided to paint them black. I didn't want them to stand out too much, and I liked the idea of a subtle contrast against the dark oak. This work was tedious, but I spent some time reflecting on where I first started my own journey. I wondered if Henry often reflected on his own memories from his past life in Germany. Maybe the occasional knock of his hammer brought a flood of emotions. The courage it must have taken to leave everything behind for this dream to build a home for his family here in America. I'll use some basic hand sanding blocks and a few power sanders to sand this table from 150 grit to 180 grit. When refinishing an antique like this, it's not necessary to remove all the old color, especially if the plan is to restain the piece. These imperfections will eventually be concealed. This old table is unique, but not extremely valuable. I think a homemade piece like this should continue to be used and appreciated, so aggressive techniques with a power sander will not diminish the value in any way. The remaining splits in the wood and the old nail heads are a major part of the original character and should be celebrated. So how do we know so many of the details of this story? When I was there picking up the table at that old farm one day last fall, the man explained to me that the table had belonged to his father and was made by his grandfather, Henry. Having inherited many of my own father's and grandfather's tools and other items, I knew this table was special, and in that moment, I decided that I wouldn't sell it, and I would keep the table. Since then, this table has been the centerpiece in my workspace. And his craftsmanship is now seen and hopefully appreciated by many people around the world. I decided to brush on a dark, traditional, oil-based penetrating stain. In retrospect, I wish I had used a lighter golden oak color as seen here, but I was still content with the results. For the protective finish, I chose to apply several coats of clear shellac. Although not the most durable finish, I think this will protect the table for many years to come. I posted a few questions on my community page several weeks ago, and many of you seemed to think this tabletop was a linoleum product. It won't ever be perfect again, but I think it's completely unnecessary to even consider replacing it. So I'll wash it gently with warm water and some dish soap. Then I'll apply this hard wax oil. This will rejuvenate the surface and also add additional protection against daily use in my workshop. Once applied, you'll see a glossy sheen in most of the final reveal, but after a few days the wax will cure and I can buff it with a shop rag. Thanks again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video, and be sure to check out the Black Friday sales in the video description for a chance to win free products. This new edition is finally complete, and in a moment, I have a few last thoughts for you. So when it's all said and done, there's one final question. Is this American made or German made? It's man made and a beautiful example of craftsmanship and a labor of love that served a purpose for many generations. I would imagine that at one time, this man dreamed of having a table like this to better suit his needs in the workplace. And now today, if I had a dream of my own, it would be to continue using this table for my own work, for me to use it as a tool to provide for a family of my own one day. Many of you haven't seen this other recent restoration story. My name is Barry, and thanks for joining me. Goodbye for now.